What's going on YouTube? It's James Ong here, and today I want to talk about the new changes and the new features in RimWorld Beta 19. Now, I don't want to touch on any of the stuff that Tynan really touched on in his video. I don't see the point in me really just regurgitating all of the stuff that he said in his Beta 19 video. If for some reason you are watching this and you haven't seen that video, I do encourage you to check that out. It is linked in the description of this video here. But yeah, I'm going to get into some of the stuff that he didn't mention that I did find quite interesting. Just briefly to touch on what Tynan talked about, there's bridges in the game, obviously. Wonderful. You can now build a base completely over water if you like. Sounds a lot of fun. There are big new turrets and guns in the game. Again, a lot of fun. All of them now also need to be refueled as well. There have also been some changes to infestations, so you now get a warning before an infestation comes. There's a few other things that Tynan talked about there. I won't really touch on those, but those were the biggest sort of changes that came with this beta. Let's get into some of the stuff that Tynan didn't talk about. So first off, I want to just talk about some of the things that I've encountered and some of the gameplay, like story-driven changes in the new beta. So the first thing, this is something that I haven't come across, but I read it in the patch notes and immediately it just sounded very interesting to me, really. So, in some very bad situations, a mysterious man in black may arrive. Can he set things right in these parts? Pretty mysterious. That's all the patch note literally says. To me, it kind of sounds like the mysterious stranger from Fallout. You know, he could occasionally appear in vats and just kill everything that was bad in the area, sort of thing. That sounds like, well, what this sort of thing potentially is. And yeah, I guess if something's going very bad in your colony, maybe just stick it out. Just hang around a bit longer, see what's happening there, and potentially you'll get to see some of this new content with the man in black arriving. That's something that I'm looking forward to potentially encountering in the future at some point. Another change that I've really liked and something that I have come across in-game is a new event. It's called The Wild Man Wanders In. Wild Man wanders in, and we just finished battery research. Okay, let's go down to speed 1. Complex clothing, do that for me. A person living among wild animals has wandered into the area. He's called Strapping. You can attempt to tame him? Oh, hilarious. We can tame a man. That is so funny. That is so funny. A disciplined farmer, a stalwart farmer. Yeah. Sure. We can hunt him. Hilarious. Hilarious. I don't know what beta this came with, but it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Oh, it's so good. Let's tame Strapping. Wild men may attack upon failed attempts, 2% chance. That's okay. I mean, are you armed with anything? No, you're completely naked. Even if you did attack someone, it wouldn't really be a bad thing whatsoever. Is anyone on animal handling here? I suppose Lobster is. He's got a 7 skill at it as well. Let's see. Ah, he's going to tame Strapping. Yeah, come on, Lobster. Go and tame the wild man. I want to see how this goes. He feeds him berries to tame him. Oh, and just like that, it's done. Awesome. New recruit. Lobster has recruited Strapping. 40% chance. Amazing. Amazing. That's one of my favourite little RimWorld moments already, to be honest. Now, something else that Tynan did touch on in his video, but didn't really show anything off for, and something that I'm going to talk about here, is the ship end sequence. So he mentioned that the ship reactor now takes 15 days to warm up, during which time you'll be attacked constantly by desperados and mechanoids. Now, I did a little test run of this, and yeah, basically, I think in the 15 days, I got about 16 or 17 raids in that time, so a lot of raids over the 15-day period. Now, the raids that I got, they weren't very difficult to deal with, to be honest, but I think that's probably because I was doing this in just development mode with God mode on, and because the colony was very new, like only, a week old or something, in actual game time, how long they'd spent on the map, I think that sort of barred off some of the end game raids sort of showing up. Potentially if I'd done that test in merciless mode, then I would have seen a more accurate a more accurate depiction of what would actually happen to an end game colony. But it is a lot of fun. You get a lot of raids during that time, and yeah, it was good just to go and test out some of the new turrets as well. Throw a few of the new turrets down. They're very, very powerful. Really, some of them were just tearing the raids apart. I really didn't have too much issues with keeping raids out of my little quickly thrown together colony there. And this also makes the ship reactor launch sequence, it makes it a bit more satisfying, I suppose. It was potentially a little bit anticlimactic before. You just pressed the button and then got an end screen, no real graphic or anything going on. That still happens at the end of the 15 days, but yeah, you get this now 15-day period where your reactor is like spooling up and sending off some kind of, radioactive signal out into the waste that everyone's picking up on, and realizing that you've got a ship there that they can potentially come and destroy and loot. So a good change, something that when I do build a ship in the future, I'm going to enjoy playing with. Alright, so let's get into balance and quality of life improvements. So I did find quite a few interesting things here through both just playing the game and reading patch notes. The first thing is that alpha beavers, they now only come on maps with low wood. So if you're playing on a jungle or a forest map, you're not going to get alpha beavers. But if you're playing on like desert or tundra, where wood is just super valuable to you, then you're going to get alpha beavers showing up and trying to eat that wood, where they're actually a problem and not just free food for you. A very good little change there. You can also now copy and paste meal bills or any bill from any workbench. A very nice change. So if you're setting up a new cook stove, a new workbench, you can just copy all of your old bills from your previous bench and add it onto the new one. So a great little quality of life improvement. You can also now write job titles for your colonists. This is something that I guess I kind of wanted but didn't really realize it. It's something that I have done in the past by adding an abbreviation before a colonist's nickname to give them a job title. That's now something that you can do as a standalone feature in the base game. A very nice change. Workbench bills can now be assigned to a specific colonist. So again, a great one. If you've got that assault rifle bill that you want a specific, or you want your best colonist to take care of, you can now assign that inside of the bill there. Very good. Colonists now opportunistically haul items while working if their current target is roughly in the same direction. Now what this means, broken down pretty simply, is that if your colonist is off on the edge of the map doing a bit of mining, he triggers in to go home to go to sleep or have a meal or whatever, he'll check the area around him and go, oh, there's some steel here, I can haul that back with me to the base. This used to be a mod, it's now been integrated into the base game. A fantastic integration there. You can now drag and reorder colonists in the colonist bar. This is really great. I really do feel that this is a good quality of life improvement. I like to group all of my fighting colonists together, all of my colonists who have guns, who can shoot them fairly well, group all of them together, then I can just drag a box over them and select them quite easily, rather than individually picking them out of my colonist bar there. There are new designators in the game, a mass forbidding and unforbidding tools. These are just fantastic. This is something that was a mod in the past again, and something that honestly I could never play the game without. It is now in the base game, a fantastic change. Battles in your combat tab are now named, so you can now go back in your combat history tab and, see your past triumphs or your past failures perhaps. Most crafting benches are now uninstallable and reinstallable. So just like furniture, you can uninstall and reinstall a crafting bench. They've added a medical care column to the assign tab. This is a good one. In your assign tab, you can go and say, okay, this colonist, he's getting no doctor treatment whatsoever because I hate him and I want him to die. If you're a terrible person, you could potentially go and do that. Or, you can just say, only have herbal meds. You have the very best medical care, or only standard medicine, that sort of thing. they've added a minimum crafting skill to various weapon and apparel crafting recipes. So yeah, those higher tier items, they now have a skill lock off for that, which, you know, makes those higher tier items a little bit more valuable potentially. Wood-powered fires and coolers no longer vanish when the fuel is exhausted, they wait to be refueled. So a very good one if you're using passive coolers or campfires for temperature control, then they will now be refueled when they run out of fuel rather than just vanishing. There is a new armor system in the game. Now, let me explain this one. It's been reworked into a 3-outcome armor penetration system. So I'll break this down. You now have a armor rating. So each set of armor has an armor rating, and obviously each weapon has a base damage rating, you know, how much damage that weapon can do. Now, when a weapon is fired or when an attack comes from a weapon, whether that be a melee weapon or a ranged weapon, there is an RNG roll out of 100% whether that hit will hit for 100% of its damage, hit for a certain percentage of its damage, or just miss completely. Now, when that hit occurs on the armor, if the hit is under 50% of your effective armor rating, then the hit will be completely deflected. There will be no damage taken by the colonist whatsoever. If the hit is over 50% of the effective armor rating but under 100%, then the hit will be partially deflected, so it will be mitigated. For example, if it is a sharp hit, the hit will be converted into a bruise. So basically, hits that are just over 50% of the armor rating there, they will do like a reduced injury to that colonist. If the hit, though, is over the effective armor rating, so over 100% of your effective armor rating, then the hit just applies normally. It completely bypasses your armor. It's as if you're not wearing anything at all, and the hit will do full damage. This is a good change. I feel that overall it makes armor more powerful. Armor can now, of course, completely deflect an attack, so a good change overall, especially with some of the new armor types in the game. It makes those potentially a bit more desirable, something that you might want to rush out early on in a colony's lifetime. There is now a change to the long-range mineral scanner. It can now be tuned to seek specific minerals and must be worked by a researcher. I like this one. Turrets and traps are now more powerful and cost less to build, but consume resources when used. I've found that turrets and traps are now really a lot more powerful. Also, traps, they have a 100% chance to trigger, so anytime someone stands on a trap at all, it will trigger. Whereas previously there was like, you know, a chance that it would or it wouldn't. It will now definitely do it if someone stands on it. And just like I said, overall, I've found traps particularly to be very, very powerful. I haven't played with the new turrets too much, other than in the dev mode, and actually they did seem very, very powerful messing around with them there. But yeah, you now just need to keep a little bit of resources around to re-arm a trap, but they cost less to place down in the first place. Overall, I feel traps have been buffed quite significantly. Ranged attacks can now stagger enemies, so fantastic. Guns are now even more powerful than before. Tribal factions will now also do sapper raids, so again, a boost to the tribal factions there. They're now a little bit more dangerous and will potentially try to sap under your walls. So that's everything. That is all of the changes that I've picked out from a very long list of patch notes for RimWorld Beta 19. I will link the complete patch notes in the description of this video if you want to check things out further. But this is all of the highlights that I picked out. Some really good stuff in here, I feel, and I've been having a lot of fun with this beta. The game has felt very complete now for me for really the past few iterations of RimWorld, but it's now really getting to the point where there's a lot of stuff in there that, you know, has come for free as well. All of this could have been DLC. This is a lot of the stuff that's been added here has been added in a really good way, I feel. RimWorld is a fantastic game. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that I'll see you for more RimWorld content in the future. If you'd like to subscribe, there is a subscription button somewhere. I'm sure you can go and press that. And I hope that you will join me for future RimWorld content. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you next time.